A little deaf girl stood alone in a crowded park, invisible to everyone around her. But when one woman stopped and signed hello, the billionaire father, watching from afar, broke down in tears. What happened next will restore your faith in humanity. This is the story of Alexander Pierce, a self-made billionaire who had everything money could buy. Mansions, private jets, luxury cars worth millions. But there was one thing his billions couldn't fix: his daughter's loneliness. 7-year-old Lily Pierce was born deaf. And in a world that moves too fast, speaks too loud, and rarely stops to understand, she had become invisible. But on one ordinary Saturday afternoon in Central Park, everything changed, because of one woman who chose to see what everyone else ignored. This is a story about kindness that costs nothing, but means everything. Alexander Pierce wasn't always a billionaire. 20 years ago, he was a struggling entrepreneur working 18-hour days, surviving on instant noodles and determination. He built his tech empire from scratch, sacrificing everything for success. Then came Sophia, his wife. They married young, full of dreams. And when Lily was born, Alexander thought his life was finally complete. He had success, love, and now a beautiful daughter. But at 18 months old, doctors delivered devastating news. Lily had profound hearing loss. She would never hear her mother's lullaby, her father's voice, or the sound of her own laughter. Sophia couldn't handle it. She left when Lily was 3, unable to cope with raising a deaf child. She wanted the picture-perfect family, and when reality didn't match her expectations, she walked away. Alexander was left alone with a little girl who lived in silence, and a heart full of determination to give her the best life possible. He hired the best sign language tutors, enrolled Lily in prestigious schools for the deaf, bought every device that could help her communicate. He learned sign language himself, becoming fluent within a year, but there was one thing Alexander couldn't buy: acceptance from the world around them. People stared, not with curiosity but with discomfort. When Lily signed in restaurants, other diners would whisper and look away. When she tried to play at the park, children would run to their parents. Confused by her hand movements, parents would pull their kids away, saying things like, "Don't stare," or "She's different," and as if Lily couldn't see their rejection, even though she couldn't hear their words. Alexander watched his daughter's smile fade a little more each day. She stopped trying to make friends, stopped waving at other children, started staying close to her father, her only safe space in a world that didn't know how to embrace her. Every Saturday, Alexander would take Lily to Central Park. It was their ritual. He'd buy her favorite ice cream, and they'd sit on their usual bench watching the world go by. Watching other children play together while Lily sat alone, signing to her stuffed bunny because no one else would sign back. It broke his heart every single time. On this particular Saturday, something felt different. Lily had been quieter than usual during the drive. When they arrived at the park, she didn't even ask for ice cream. She just walked slowly to their bench and sat down, hugging her bunny tight. Alexander knew that look. It was the look of a child who had stopped hoping. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" he signed. Lily's small hands moved slowly. "Daddy, am I invisible? Do people not see me because I can't hear?" Those words shattered something inside Alexander. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that people aren't ignoring her because she's invisible? They're ignoring her because they're uncomfortable with what they don't understand. Alexander pulled Lily close, trying to hide his own tears. "You are the most visible, most beautiful person in this entire park," he signed back. "You light up every space you enter." But even as he said it, he knew she didn't believe him, because her experience told her otherwise. They sat there for a while, Alexander's arm around his daughter, both watching a group of children playing nearby. Lily's eyes followed them with longing, her fingers unconsciously signing "friend" over and over. Then something extraordinary happened. A young woman approached their bench. She was in her mid-20s, wearing a simple sundress and carrying a worn backpack. Nothing about her appearance suggested wealth or status. She looked like an everyday person, maybe a student or artist enjoying the park. But what happened next would change everything. The woman stopped directly in front of Lily, and then with a warm smile her hands began to move. She was signing. "Hello," her hand said. "My name is Emma. I love your bunny. What's their name?" Lily's eyes went wide with shock. For a moment she just stared, unable to process that someone, a stranger, was actually communicating with her in her language. Alexander felt his breath catch. In 7 years, this had never happened. Not once had a stranger approached his daughter and signed to her. Lily's small hands trembled as she signed back. "His name is Mr. Floppy. He's my best friend." Emma's smile grew wider. "Mr. Floppy is a perfect name. Can I sit with you both?" Lily looked at her father, her eyes filled with a hope Alexander hadn't seen in months. He nodded, unable to speak even if he wanted to. Emma sat down beside Lily and they began to talk. "Well, to sign." Emma asked about Lily's favorite colors, her favorite animals, what games she liked to play. And Lily came alive. Her hands moved faster than Alexander had seen in ages. She giggled, that silent, joyful laugh that shook her whole body. She showed Emma her bunny's secret pocket, where she kept a tiny drawing of her and her daddy. For 15 minutes, these two strangers conversed as if they'd known each other forever. Emma didn't treat Lily differently, didn't slow down her signing unnecessarily, didn't speak loudly as if that would somehow help. She just saw Lily as a person, a whole, complete, wonderful person. Alexander watched in amazement, tears streaming down his face that he didn't bother to hide. This woman, this beautiful, kind stranger, had given his daughter something he'd been desperately trying to provide for years. She'd given her normalcy, acceptance, connection. Finally, Emma turned to Alexander. "You have an incredible daughter," she signed. "She's smart, funny, and has such a big heart. How do you know sign language?" Alexander asked, his hands slightly shaky with emotion. Emma's expression grew soft. "My younger brother is deaf. Growing up, I watched him face the same loneliness your daughter experiences. People would avoid him, not out of cruelty, but out of ignorance. They didn't know how to communicate, so they chose not to try at all." She paused, looking at Lily, who was now showing Mr. Floppy to a curious squirrel. "I learned sign language when I was 12, and I made a promise. Every time I see a deaf person, especially a child, I'll make sure they know they're not invisible, that someone sees them, that they matter." Alexander couldn't hold back anymore. "You have no idea what you've just done for her. For us, she asked me today if she was invisible. She's been so lonely, and I didn't know how to fix it." "You can't fix it alone," Emma signed gently. "The world needs to change. But in the meantime, we can be the change in small moments like this." Emma pulled out a small notebook from her backpack and wrote something down. She handed it to Alexander. It was her phone number and email address. "I run a weekly playgroup for deaf and hearing children," she explained. "It's free. We play games, do art, and all the hearing children learn basic sign language. Lily would be so welcome there. And she'd make friends, real friends who speak her language." Alexander looked at the paper in his hands, then at this remarkable woman who had wandered into their lives like an answer to prayers he didn't know how to pray. "Why do you do this?" he asked, the playgroup stopping to talk to Lily. "Why?" Emma smiled. "Because kindness isn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It's about seeing people, really seeing them, and choosing to bridge the gap between your world and theirs. It cost me nothing to sign. But to Lily, it means she's not invisible. And that's everything." Over the next few months, Lily's life transformed completely. She started attending Emma's playgroup every Saturday. At first, she was shy, hiding behind her father. But slowly, she opened up. There were 5 other deaf children in the group, and about 10 hearing children whose parents had enrolled them specifically to learn inclusion and sign language. Lily made her first real friend, a hearing girl named Sophie, who was learning sign language because she thought it was the coolest thing ever. The two became inseparable. Alexander watched his daughter blossom. She smiled constantly now, ran to the car every Saturday morning, excited for playgroup, started signing about her friends at dinner. Even her posture changed. She walked taller, more confident, but the impact went beyond just Lily. Alexander, inspired by Emma's simple act of kindness, used his resources to make a real difference. He funded a city-wide initiative to teach basic sign language in all elementary schools. He created public service announcements about deaf awareness. He partnered with Emma to expand her playgroup program to 10 different locations across the city. He wasn't trying to fix deafness. He was trying to fix society's response to it. Emma refused any payment for her work with the playgroups. "This isn't about money," she insisted. "It's about humanity." But Alexander found other ways to support her. He funded scholarships for deaf students, created job programs at his company specifically for deaf employees, with sign language classes mandatory for all staff. He wanted to build a world where his daughter and every deaf person would never feel invisible again. 6 months after that day in the park, Alexander organized a special event. A Thank You Emma celebration at the biggest playgroup center. Over 100 children attended, deaf and hearing, all signing, playing, laughing together. When Emma arrived and saw what Alexander had created, she cried. "This is what I dreamed of," she signed. "A world where differences don't divide us. Where children learn early that everyone deserves to be seen and heard, in whatever way they communicate." Lily ran up to Emma and hugged her tight. Then her small hands moved carefully, signing something she'd been practicing all week. "You saved me," she signed. "You made me visible again. You're my hero." Alexander stood back, watching his daughter surrounded by friends, signing and laughing without fear of rejection. He thought about that day in the park, when Lily had asked if she was invisible. The truth is, she had been invisible. Not because she was deaf, but because people chose not to see her. They looked away out of discomfort, ignorance, fear of doing the wrong thing. But Emma had shown everyone, that the solution was simple. Not easy, perhaps, but simple. See people. Really see them. Learn their language, whether it's sign language or the language of kindness in any form. Bridge the gap instead of widening it. Alexander realized that his billions had never made him truly rich. This, watching his daughter thrive, seeing a community come together, witnessing the ripple effect of one woman's simple kindness, this was real wealth. Emma had given Lily something money couldn't buy: dignity, friendship, and the fundamental human right to be seen. And it had all started with one word signed by a stranger in a park. "Hello." Today, Lily is 9 years old. She has a group of close friends, excels at her school, and dreams of becoming a teacher for deaf children. She's no longer the lonely little girl on the park bench. Emma still runs her playgroups, now expanded to 20 locations with Alexander's support. Thousands of children, deaf and hearing, have learned that communication comes in many forms, and every form is valid. Alexander learned that being a good father isn't about protecting his daughter from the world's cruelty. It's about changing the world so it's less cruel. One person, one conversation, one moment of kindness at a time. And it all started because one woman chose to stop, to see, to sign hello to a little girl everyone else was ignoring. This story teaches us something profound about our society. We live in a world that's constantly moving, constantly busy, constantly distracted. We pass hundreds of people every day without really seeing them. We notice differences and look away because we don't know what to say or do. But here's the truth. Every person wants the same basic thing: to be seen, to be acknowledged, to matter. You don't need billions of dollars to make a difference. You don't need grand gestures or dramatic sacrifices. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply stop and notice someone who everyone else is ignoring. Learn one phrase in sign language. Smile at the person everyone else avoids. Take 5 minutes to make someone feel visible. Because to that person, you won't just be a kind stranger. You'll be the person who reminded them they exist. They matter. They're not invisible. Emma changed Lily's life with a simple hello. Imagine what you could change with yours. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to remember the power of simple kindness. And subscribe to our channel for more untold stories that will restore your faith in humanity. In the comments below, tell us, have you ever been made to feel invisible? Or have you made someone feel seen? Share your story. Let's create a community of people who choose to see each other. Remember, in a world where you can be anything, be the person who stops, who sees, who cares, because that simple choice can change someone's entire world. Until next time, keep spreading kindness. It costs nothing, but to someone feeling invisible, it means everything.